You're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod. Enjoy the ride.
Hello and welcome to the 241st episode of the Slow Ride Podcast. This is Tim in Orlando, Florida.
And this is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts. Tim, the podcast green room, a little less full today.
Yeah, little guy is not able to make the show, so he can gloat, I guess, over his picks at Umloop.
Yeah.
Although I did see that you picked Stybar to finish second, and he had Nicky Terpstra to win. So I guess that you kind of won, but I like to think that, for me, T. Spanut, he was looking good until he crashed. But let's get to Umloop in just a second. Let's get to the bigger news.
Okay.
On the pod.
Now, what do you got?
I'd like to welcome all of the Dirty Kansas listeners out there that want to know who exactly these journalists of repute are that announced the team for Education First at Dirty Kansas.
Well, you know, these journalists are experts in the field. They've been doing it for a long time. They're well connected. And, they pretty much, you can trust anything that they say.
So I just got to say something.
Okay.
Of the three riders that are going to Dirty Kansas, all three of them have alluded very publicly that they were going to be doing Dirty Kansas this year. So I don't feel that like we've done anything extraordinary, but it was extraordinary because it was us, because we're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just some podcasters sitting on the internet. But of course, we're talking about Taylor Phinney, Lachlan Martin, and Alex Howes having the weight of the world, the weight of an entire team/nation on their shoulders.
It's the nation.
Going to Dirty Kansas. Let's think about this for a second.
Yeah.
Spencer, Pro Tour team, showing up to arguably the most important gravel race in the world.
Sure.
They have to win this, right?
Yes, they have to win this. There's three of them. Let's just put it that way. Like if it was just one of them, I could be like, oh, okay, yeah, people ganged up on him or something, but they have to win this.
Okay. Can I tell you what I'm most shocked about? Is that there's only three of them going. I was expecting some more. I was expecting 5, 6, maybe 7. Maybe some of their they got to have like a junior team or like espoirs or whatever they call them. The full weird French word that I never could pronounce.
Yeah, you wanted the full Tour de France squad showing up.
Oh yeah, and second, Lachlan Morton's brother Angus Morton's probably going to be there as well. So we got to assume that there'll be a couple of people also helping out.
Collusion.
Education First.
Now you're accusing collusion.
Well, I didn't even get into if they're going to use aero bars or not. Those are the things I care more about.
Yeah. And as you should.
So Ted King's got
I
think he's going again. He's last year's winner.
Mm-hmm.
If Ted King wins, is that a contract? Votter's calling him back up saying, coming out of retirement, I need some of that maple syrup advertisement. I need Untapped.
Possibly.
And you.
I think it's going to be a coup if Ted King somehow pulls it off against these guys.
Second question. At this point, shouldn't Phil Gaiman also be there? I mean, if we're going to go for internet bike racers, you would think Gaiman would be there too, right? Isn't that...
You would think, but is there a important enough Strava segment on the Dirty Kansas course?
Thing.
Now, I imagine, yes, there are plenty on there, but is one important enough? Is there a KOM that's actually on a gradient?
This whole thing to me...
I think Kansas is pretty flat.
Seems like, yeah. Seems like there's some hills there. I guess I'm just... That's an immense amount of pressure on Taylor Finney, Lachlan Morton, and Alex House. Like, if they don't win, and if they don't even go like all three in the top 10, like there are some
all three in the top 10. There
like all
should
three
be
need
all
to be in the
three
top 10.
in the top 3.
Yes, but I would say like maybe there's a flat tire. Like there's something that could happen.
Okay.
But that is crazy to think about if they don't do it. And like, I mean, I will put that pressure on them. It sucks. I mean, I would not want that pressure.
I mean,
I get enough pressure when I go to play 35 plus men's hockey and it's a penalty shot late in the game.
yeah, what's your go-to
And I call
move?
my own number.
What's your go-to move?
I call my own number. I did this actually a couple weeks ago. I called my own number.
Okay.
And I tried to go 5-hole and totally failed. So
Did you deke left and then right, or what are you doing?
I have a fake shot. Like I come in from the left
Little
side.
shoulder twitch?
Goalie right. Yeah.
Okay.
Like fake shot. Bring it back. Usually opens up the goalie's legs and slot it in
Okay.
between. And he totally read that. But enough about me.
No,
More
but
about,
this is the thing, is that those 3 guys, teammates on the World Tour level, they're going to know exactly how to open up that 5-hole at Dirty Kansas, and they're going to get in there, and they're going to sweep the podium.
It is pretty amazing that the day after we announced Alex Howe's going to, I mean, we basically were the team press release for this.
Yes.
That Alex Howe's is in the breakaway at Umloop.
Yeah, no surprise to me. Dirty Kansas
With-
training.
With little guys MVDP MVP Roy Jans, also from Umloop, also in the breakaway at Umloop.
Yep.
From Matthew Vanderpool's team. So
Yep.
kind of amazing.
Who, I'm sure many of our listeners out there caught that and noticed, Roy Jan's in the break. I've heard that name on the Slow Ride podcast. That's probably the only cycling journalism Pulitzer Prize winning journalistic site that has spoken of Mr. Jans at all, and that's what little guy brings to the table here, and obviously Mitch Docker, huge fan of the pod, communicated this to the rest of the team. Was like, we need to watch out for Roy Jans. If he goes, he's got this teammate. We need to be on that wheel.
He has his teammate that isn't even in the race.
He's not even here,
But
we need to get used to following this wheel because it's important. And Alex House is up to the task. And
I mean, Umloop
astute armchair DSs all over the world should have caught that.
now know about Roy Jans.
Yeah.
And so Umloop was this weekend. We've mentioned it many times before. It is the start of real bike racing.
Mm-hmm.
It is a early February cobbled classic featuring some of the most important climbs in cycling, including the Mur de Huy. And
No.
I believe the Mur de Huy.
No.
Koppelmuur?
Koppelmuur.
Yeah, well,
Koppelmuur, the Bosberg, the Wolvenberg, all these other bergs.
So
There's like 100 bergs.
a couple of cool things about the Umloop is that they run the women's race and the men's race on the same course.
They do.
Pretty cool.
Very cool.
And both you can get on TV relatively easily. Both had live streams, which was cool to see.
Yes.
So congratulations to the Flanders Classics promotion arm that put it together. And, of course, the winner of the race of Umloop was Zednik Stuybar over GVA Greg Van Evermont and Tim Wellens. 16th place went to Bob Jungles. And in 14th place, a little-known rider named Wout van Aert, former cyclocross world champion. In the women's race,
Yes.
which we'll get to in just a second, but just to throw it out there, we had a winner.
It was
winner
Lucinda
was-
Brand. She crushed it. She soloed away.
I thought it was Chantel Black.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Chantel Black. I get the Dutch national jerseys mixed up with cyclocross and road.
And then
5-letter
Marta
last names.
Bastianelli
Yeah.
of LA takes the win for the win. Second place, sorry. She won today.
Okay.
And then Yip Vandenbos got third for the women. Of course, I was wondering where Lotta was going to be, my favorite rider. But 16th place on the women's race was Anuska Koster of Team Virtue Cycling. But overall, the women's race, what was the story here?
I mean, this is a race that I watched when I got up in the morning and turned on my live feed. This is the one that I tuned into. But I missed the most important drama because my East Coast time zone, I just was sleeping in, I guess. But turns out spring training camp wasn't totally over, I don't think, for maybe people hadn't really realized that this is the first real racing race of the year in the men's field. And they were still in spring training mode because despite starting 10 minutes back, the women's race caught or was in danger of catching the back of the men's race and had to be neutralized. So that was a big story.
Yeah. And first off, it's BS that the women's race had to be neutralized. The men can pull over to the right side of the road. If they can coordinate when to go to the bathroom, they can pull over to the right side of the road with their cars and let the women's who are actually racing go ahead.
Sure.
And then, you know what? Maybe you catch them a little bit later. In fact, they're not on the same course the whole time. The men's race is 200K and the women's race is 123K. So there's definitely some differences in the course there. Kind of disappointed on that. And then, of course, when these like comments get put out on Twitter, right? Like Corinne Rivera saying like, well, when I was growing up racing, you know, the faster race would overtake the next race.
Yeah.
Then all like the cuds of the world just get on Twitter and like, well, the logistics, and like they start mansplaining like, well, logistics of team caravans overtaking. And I'm like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Like, it's a bike race. Pull over to the side of the road. Like you're getting past. Like it's not rocket science. So a little disappointed there. But I think Ellen Noble said it best that, you know, equality doesn't come with like there's going to be growing pains here. Like they, right? We have a race that's actually doing major mighty steps forward in putting on a women's race on the same day, on the same course, like kind of just making sense. And you know what? It might take some navigation on how, like maybe next year they give the men's head start 20 minutes or something. Like maybe there's, you know, different way to do it.
Yeah, you would think, or at the very least, getting in the radio tour's ear and saying, "Hey, men's race, you got to pick up the pace. You got to pick up the pace, guys. Like, I get it, the breaks up the road. Like, you don't need to work, but like, you have to work a little bit harder, at least until we get to where the courses diverge. You know, like,
and then
there was some solution here. I guess is my point that." Was not pulling all these women over to the side of the road and making them wait for the men to get further up the road so they could start going fast again, you know?
Yeah, and maybe they find a way to do it again in the future. But, you know, okay, we have acknowledged it. It was kind of BS in our opinion. And the men, you know, they don't need to race 200K if they're not going to race 120K the way the women do. So we've always been a big proponents of shorter races anyway. But that being said, Zednik Stybar sat in the lounge, in the Quick Step lounge, while GVA and the others were putting down the attacks hammer after hammer, and then Zednik Stybar did what he did best and takes the win by 9 seconds over GVA. Dylan Toons in 5th place. Always good to see him. My picks didn't go so well. That being said, yeah.
So one of my picks was Philip Gilbert. I said he could do well, and you guys chuckled. You guys gave me a little grief for that last week, and he came in the top 10.
Well, the reason, maybe you weren't listening here, but the reason that the chuckles happened was because you called him a third-rate racer.
Ah, well.
Yeah, and he got 8th place. So I don't think it's a complete knock.
Now, in my defense, I may not have called him a third-rate racer myself. I'm saying he may be viewed as by some people who are obviously less smart than me. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, for what it's worth.
Great job,
Mitch
Philip
Docker
Gilbert.
got DNF.
Mitch Docker.
And then,
no, buddy. What happened?
Well, today was the KBK.
Okay.
For us, a far more important race because George Hincapie won it many years ago, and the winner.
Well, who got the donkey?
Kern
Yeah.
Brussels Carol Kern gets a donkey, a stuffed donkey. And move over, Lion. The donkey has kicked you off the podium, and Bobby Jungles takes it over Owain Duel of Team Sky, British rider. Never heard of him before.
Nope.
I'm sure that we'll get some emails from the listeners.
Definitely.
And then Nikki Terpstra in 3rd place, and early race favorite Dylan Groenwagen in 4th place, 12 seconds down on Bobby Jungles. 16th place, Andrea Pasqualon of Wanty Grupo Gobert. But
that's a big result.
it is.
That's what we created the 16th place for. Is when you get the random guy you definitely haven't heard of, who's on the second-rate team, on the wanties of the world. That guy is going to do something good this year at some point, and he's going to be on the World Tour next year. Mark our words.
2 American riders, both DNF'd, Alex Howes and Logan Owen. Alex Howes must be saving himself for Dirty Kansas, as mentioned earlier. So, and then there is not a women's version of KBK,
No.
but there is another women's race that's a 1.1. Spar Umloop Van Hagelen, and that was at Marta Bastianelli.
Yep.
Lotta Lapizzo and Leah Kirchman in third place.
Awesome.
So we know Leah Kirchman, so that's pretty cool result all the way across the board. So professional racing has started. Next week, of course, is the biggest one of them all. That's Strada Bianchi, and that is going to be one of the main races. Remember last year, Wout van Aert collapsing off his bike on the finishing sprint up the climb.
Definitely the best result of the day.
Best result, but Thies Benoot taking the win.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Zednik Stybar has won there before, so maybe he's peaking.
How do you...
A couple of other things I want to bring up on this race weekend.
Okay.
Someone had put a GIF over on the Slow Ride Pod Twitter account, and it was the start of the KBK Juniors race.
Oh, yeah.
And so they got the neutral start. They got the car kind of there, and you got the guy,
the red flag and everything.
the red flag, and just out of the sunroof. And it that's a glorious feeling. I rode out of the sunroof at Grand Fonda, New York.
Okay. Yeah.
In the lead car. It's great. Kind of behind the group. And so one of the things that was really cool about it, I need to eat more coffee. Drink more coffee. Anyways, I'm watching this this guy out of the sunroof with the red flag, and he waves it. And the whole time I'm looking over there, and I'm like, those riders are going in front of the car. Like, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And then the car just slams on its brakes. I don't know if the driver misplaced like what the clutch was or what, but slams on his brakes, and at least 20 riders go down, like into the back of the car.
Piled onto each other. It's
in fact,
brutal.
I haven't seen a crash like this since a little-known fixed-gear criterium with no brakes called Red Hook Crit. And I think it's hilarious when all those roadies were sitting out there talking about how horrible the Red Hook Crit is because of a crash like this with a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And here we are at KBK Juniors race, and there's just a crash just as bad. I mean, this was a horrible crash.
Yeah.
Anyway, just going to throw it out there. I don't even know who won that race. Probably some European guy.
Probably.
From Amsterdam or Netherlands or something.
We have the resources to look this stuff up.
Yeah. But the point is the crash.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Not good. Not a good look. That's for sure.
So.
I think a couple of like you mentioned, a couple of them were going around the side of the car. The only thing that I can think of that would cause this to happen, besides, I guess, maybe just mistaking the gas in the clutch or whatever, like you said, is maybe that guy yelled at them to stop going around the car, and the driver heard him say stop and just hit the brakes. Like, I don't know how that kind of thing happens. It's a fluke accident, obviously. I hope everyone comes out relatively unscathed, considering. I know most folks at Red Hook were okay, and everybody just needs to realize that is one of the sad realities of bike racing is sometimes things go wrong. And
well, there's just too many cars on the road, and even in a race such as this, I mean, anyways, very very frustrating to see. But the European race weekend is open. Let's jump into the preem lap because we got a little bit more things to talk about after the preem lap, including a good old fashioned doping controversy.
Oh, can't wait!
I can't wait. Yeah.
I'm Ellen Noble, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Podcast.
All right, Timmy. This week
Yeah.
on the Preem Lap,
Uh-huh.
are you ready? Fast twitch muscles firing on all cylinders?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
I drank some Red Bull.
All right. Do you need any coffee, Tim? Are you sure you
Yes, I
topped
do.
off? Okay.
No, I need an espresso blend.
You clearly need one. We're recording late at night, as we usually do, and it sometimes it hits you at the weirdest times. So luckily, we can help you out here. We're part of the Wide Angle Podium Network of shows here at the Slow Ride Podcast, and Wide Angle Podium has an exclusive deal with Grimpeur Bros Coffee, where you can buy bags of delicious coffee from Grimpeur, and they directly support the Wide Angle Podium Network and this show and the other shows that you enjoy listening to on the network. We've got the full Schleck late roast blend for you, and we've also got Cyclocross Friends espresso blend out there for you, both available at grimpeurbrothers.com.
No, and you can subscribe. You're burying the lead here. That's like my favorite part of Grimpeur Brothers Coffee, right? Is that you can sign up for the subscription, and then they just mail it to you. It's like once a month. You need some new beans?
Yeah.
Boom. Done. And you're supporting the podcast that you love and listen to anyway. Mm-hmm. And Grimpeur Brothers is a supporter of cycling far and wide. So
far and wide.
I'd like to give them a major shout out. So
they support all kinds of folks like Helen Wyman and other teams and riders all around. And we're pretty psyched that they help support us as well. So check them out. We've got a hot link for you, wideanglepodium.com/coffee. That'll take you there directly to those blends. So
yes. And once again, last week we announced their return. Health IQ is back to supporting the Wide Angle Podium Network. You can go to healthiq.com/WAP to find out more about how to save money on your life insurance because you're a healthy individual because you're listening to this podcast. Now, I know you're probably listening to this podcast, putting on the miles, making that old ticker nice and healthy and strong. So yeah, take advantage. Get life insurance before you know you need it. Because I'm speaking from advice here.
yeah,
I have a sweet health insurance policy before I had a little stroke. So now I'm pretty covered. It's kind of morbid to think about, but man, am I happy that I went ahead and got that all figured out before the stroke happened.
Yeah. No, life insurance is one of those things.
20-year policy.
Yeah.
And they're already counting it down.
It's one of those things that's important to have that, you don't often think about. And Health IQ is a good way to do it because they, like you said, they take all that work you're doing, all those Strava segments that you're doing, all that exercise that you're putting in, all the work you're putting in, and they translate that into savings for you. It's pretty easy. Go to healthiq.com/WAP. Take a cycling quiz. They'll test your knowledge. They want to make sure you actually know what you're talking about. They don't give this savings away to anybody. So take that quiz and see what they do for you. This podcast is supported by Health IQ. Like we said, they're a life insurance company. They celebrate the health conscious, and that includes cyclists. And not, as we know, not everybody really cares about cyclists. So do us a favor, visit healthiq.com/WAP, learn a little bit more, get that free quote, check out their FAQ page if you have any questions about life insurance and stuff, because I am not a life insurance expert, but they are, and that's where you can go to get some answers.
Yeah. I'd like to thank them again. And also thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Wide Angle Podium Network. Go to wideanglepodium.com to find out more and check out our family of shows.
Yep.
Spencer, let's get back to the program.
Let's do it.
This is Mitch Stocker, and you're listening to the Slow Ride Pod.
All right, here we are. We got a nice email from Daniel Walker. Hey guys, just found your show and became an instant fan. Being on Long Island, there isn't much of a cycling culture at all, and nothing for younger crowds under 30. So listening to you guys is like talking shop with non-existent local cycling buddies. With that, thank you. Well, Dan, we appreciate it. Thanks for emailing us. We are doing. We enjoy it. It's fun to talk about bikes, and we're happy that you're along for the ride. Living on Long Island, I don't know what side of Long Island you are. You could be in Queens, right? You could be over like in the suburbs of New York City, and you could be a Long Island or New York Islanders fan, which would be kind of cool. Or you could be all the way out there in Montauk, just sipping the mimosas on the Sunday morning. I don't know, but enjoy riding Long Island. But thanks for the email. Always great to hear from folks. Spencer.
Yeah.
We got another email. And
Okay.
this one was pretty important to me, and I know that it was also important to you. We got an email from long-time Slow Ride podcast supporter and listener, Ruby Roubaix.
Oh.
And it was great to hear from Ruby. We hadn't heard from Ruby in a while. Congrats to his wife, who's been working through some medical conditions, and they both reached out to say that everything is been going well now. They took some time off the interwebs, but they are back at it, ready for Paris-Roubaix.
Fantastic.
And what's important about Ruby Roubaix is that he's made the signs.
Yeah.
That we have riders. So we have like Taylor Finney holding the sign that says the Slow Ride Podcast, and we have these pictures. It's great. And anyways, it's so awesome to see Ruby back and get in the email. And one of these days, we're going to have to make it over to France to take advantage of Ruby knowing everything about Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah.
And even like maybe some of those other
The
cool
quickest
races that are up there.
back roads between sectors and all that kind of great
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. We need that local
Anyways.
knowledge. Like if we went over there and tried to spectate Paris-Roubaix, I mean, I think it'd be a total mess, right? Like, I'm not a good
So-
navigator,
Yeah, well, and he does like the whole like Paris-Roubaix, Trobo-Lyon, like all of it.
Yeah.
But if you just look up Ruby Roubaix on Instagram, it's a wonderful Instagram follow just because of his connections within like living in that area of France
Yeah.
and finding the courses and all of it. So Ruby, welcome back to the party. It means a lot that you reached out, and it's good to hear from you again.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a couple of other things that I wanted to go over, and sadly, I guess there's two ways down Disappointment Avenue that we can go, Spencer.
Okay.
We could take a left and we could talk about helmets on bikes.
Oof.
Or we could take a right and talk about doping.
Ugh.
We're gonna go to both. So which one are you gonna go to first?
So we got to go around the block either way, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, this is brutal. Let's start it off on a positive note with some helmet talk.
Okay, so let's go to helmets. So great little video shows up middle of the week.
Yeah.
Of from El Paso, Texas, Beto O'Rourke.
Love that guy.
Unlocking
Can't
his-
get enough of that guy.
Yeah. Never even heard of this guy before. Unlocking his bike outside of a cafe or something. I don't know. Just kind of wearing a baseball hat, khaki pants, no pleats in the khaki pants. So that was pretty cool to see.
Now-
Maybe kind of a t-shirt, no bag. I gotta admit, if I was voting for president just based purely on style and look alone, Beto O'Rourke unlocking the single speed flat bar bike with two handbrakes
Yeah.
and just going out into the street, riding U-turn back off into the sunset, off into the El Paso night.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a guy I'd vote for. It was amazing.
It's a beautiful
Like,
image.
what was crazy was he had nobody with him. It was like he just went to the Whole Foods by himself, ate some
Now,
corn. I don't know what he did. I don't even know where he was leaving.
For our,
but it looked pretty awesome. He was just riding his bike.
yeah, for our overseas listeners, for Aussie Corner, for our UK listener, and our Canadian listener, do you want to just give a quick? Do you have an elevator pitch for who this
Yeah.
guy is?
So Beto O'Rourke is a former congressman from southwestern Texas in the town of El Paso,
Okay.
which is on the border of Mexico. And he ran for senator against Ted Cruz
Yeah.
and almost beat him. What's significant about it is that he's a Democrat in a very Republican state. And he was very grassroots friendly, right? Like kind of this new form of populism, even
Yeah.
though he's kind of a moderate on his voting record, but he went out there to the people. He drove all the time, live streamed all of his meetings. Anyways, kind of a fan favorite in Austin, Texas,
Okay.
and that kind of thing.
Okay.
And now here he is riding his bike.
Now he's
I
part
want to
of
know
the,
so much about this bike.
Yeah.
It looked kind of like a 5211 almost. Like the gear ratio is a little big.
little steep.
Yeah.
Steep. I mean, we all make that mistake.
It's a great scene. So we retweet it.
Yeah.
We're like, hey, here is a more than likely probable presidential candidate.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool to see him on a bike.
Absolutely.
Hell, I'm pretty sure we tweeted a picture of George Bush once riding a mountain bike like a goofball.
Oh, yeah.
But it was at least cool to see him on a mountain bike, right?
Sure. He could shred.
Give it. So,
Probably.
Spencer, in the world of worlds, the time of times, how long do you think a tweet goes up with a video like this?
Uh-huh.
And the first comment, or a comment is made about him not wearing a helmet.
How long?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to set the over-under at just 25 minutes, and I'm going to take
Yeah.
I'm going to take the over.
I think it was like right at 25.
Was
like
it?
It was enough quick enough that there was like a comment right away like, "Oh, not wearing a helmet." And then it's like, "Oh my god, like you're not getting the point." The helmet shaming. I was a little disappointed on what organization left the comment about the helmet.
I didn't see this.
Yeah, I was a little mad because they do so much good work.
Interesting.
And I don't think Nika, it was the Nika official Nika Twitter account, leaves the comment that's like, he should be wearing a helmet. And you're like, Nika, stay in your lane. Like, you do like amazing things
Yeah.
to build cycling for everybody.
Yeah.
And to get people out there racing. I love every single thing Nika does, except just let the person ride the bike and embrace the fact that someone's on a bike.
Yeah.
Like, educate them later about the importance of a helmet, if that's your thing. But don't publicly shame, because what if it's someone that just started riding bikes? What if Beto just picked that up at the yard sale?
You know,
Now he's like showing up to the group ride without a helmet. Are you just going to like scare him away? This is
Yeah.
a future possible president.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be like, hey man, next time wear a helmet? But then he'd look dorky and no one would vote for him. So, I mean, what do you do?
that's true. I mean, he's got to consider those votes. That is, that's an important thing. No, I mean, I get it. And, you see it all the time at the local bike shop. Somebody comes in to pick up a bike. They're going to start commuting to work. They want to be healthier. They want to be fitter. They want to save gas money. They can't afford a parking spot for their car anymore. So they sold the car, like whatever it is. And they take their $500 or whatever, and they buy your starter level commuter bike. And then the salesperson is like, all right, and then you need a lock. And they're like, oh, I didn't budget for that, but okay, I'll kick in another $50 for a lock. And then they're like, okay. Yeah. And then you need a helmet. And they're like, ooh, I didn't budget for that either. And it just adds up. And like, I get it that people are like, okay, yeah, I should probably get one, but I'm going to get it in a week or two when I have my next paycheck or something. And like, you don't know. You never know people's stories. So it's just like kind of a bummer thing to do.
Maybe he just doesn't want to wear one.
Or maybe he just doesn't want to wear one. That is completely okay too.
I know that we're going to lose listeners on this take, right? Because I know that people are feel very important about helmets, and yes. I get that. And
I wear one every time I ride, but I also don't care what you do.
Exactly.
Unless we show up on a group ride.
I would say I wear a helmet 95% of the time.
Yeah.
There are some times that I don't wear a helmet, and I'm rebellious. Maybe I feel like I'm in full control. Usually I'm riding to the brewery that's like 3 blocks away. I know all of the back roads, and I'm like, okay, like this is just good. But it's like I kind of want to start not wearing a helmet just to show up to rides and troll people like this entire podcast is, basically. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I just get so frustrated with people that like think that that's the number one issue, and it's not cars running over people. Yeah. It's not cars running red lights. It's not the overabundance of our dependency on automobiles.
Yeah.
Or the overabundance of asphalt in our country. Like there's so many bigger problems than just someone wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Really made me mad.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was a bummer. Yeah. And I mean, the response from the Slow Ride account to that tweet from Nika was the streets should be safer. Like, rather than you should be wearing a helmet. And it's like, Yeah, well, we're not wrong. You're not wrong. Like, whatever, but let them
like,
just do their thing.
why not be like, hey, Beto, come support some high school mountain bike racing?
Yeah. Hey,
I don't know.
Beto, thanks for riding your bike. Like, we appreciate it. Now you see some of the things that we're arguing for. Like, let's get some more bike lanes. Let's reduce carbon emissions. Let's, reduce traffic congestion. Get more bikes out there. Like, you get it. Awesome. Anything would be better than should wear a helmet.
All right, well, we're going to take a U-turn just the way Beto did. So, is it Beto or Beto? I don't know.
I don't know.
So gracefully. And we're going to go back down Disappointment Avenue to this big drug bust that happened in the country of Austria.
Okay.
Home of little-known racer. Is it Heinrich Hausler? Austrian?
He's Australian.
Oh, okay. And it was at the World Cross Country Skiing Championships.
Okay, you've lost me.
Yeah, so World Cross Country Skiing Championships, basically a huge drug bust brought out by the Austrian officials.
Okay.
And there's a doctor, like, I don't know all because most of the stories were written in another language, but the gist of it is that there's a doctor that they knew was dirty.
Okay.
And they basically have like 60 of his athletes.
So they were tracking him. They were scoping him out. They had the Secret Service on him, FBI or whatever.
More or less, the police and the doping bust into a room where a cross-country skier is in the midst of getting a transfusion. This cross-country skier's name is Max Hauk. And he's getting the transfusion, getting the blood put back into his veins. You can't exactly stop that midstream.
No.
Like someone comes in, you can't like rip out the IV. You're like, oh, nothing's happening here.
Yeah,
it's
going to look
I
like
have a needle in my arm.
Yeah, it's going to look like a scene from Carrie in the middle of the hotel room. Yeah, can't do that.
So he needs to finish. Well, one of the cops or two of the cops had video cameras out. So there's this 12-second long video was leaked. That was leaked to the news in Norway, and Norway, it's like cross country skiing because that's like basically New York Yankees baseball.
Yeah,
and you just see this disappointed look on this kid. I think he's like 23, kind of just looking around, and just like what does he do? Like he's on camera.
Yeah,
He's got to stop. Like he can't stop the transfusion.
Yeah,
it's leaked. The cop that leaked it got fired.
Okay.
As he should have. And I guess I'm just, he's a doper, and now he's completely shamed for life. Like his face is all over the world. Like this tweet was everywhere.
I've seen it. I don't follow skiing even a little bit, and I saw this photo floating around. Yeah.
And I guess that maybe this is just, I'm getting soft in my old age, but I kind of feel bad for him.
Well, sure.
Because, like, how does he...
As a human, you should feel bad for him, yes.
Like, he should not be cross-country skiing. Ban him. I don't care about that. But the embarrassment, like, there at no point in his life did he just... Like, I don't believe that when he was 13 learning about skiing, he thought that someday he would be inside a hotel room with a needle in his arm getting a blood transfusion. And I feel so bad and sad that is the situation. He got tied up with the wrong people.
Sure.
Knew he needed to do it. Someone found the doctor for him. There's no way it's just him. Like, you don't have that type of organization with just him being the one with the doctor. Like, other people know.
Yeah.
And, he's the one whose face is all over it. And the holier than thou nature of, like, ban him for life. We should publicly shame him. Like, this guy is shamed beyond.
Yeah. I'm guessing his grandmother opened the newspaper in the morning and saw his picture in there and was like, "Oh, that's pretty bad."
Now maybe grandma knew. I don't know, but to me, I was very disturbed to see this video. Not to like the laughing point, but just of like, oh man, like thinking of the bigger picture for this guy. And like, sure, the other athletes were screwed over by him winning. Like, I understand all of that.
Yeah.
and he should be banned. Like, I'm not saying he shouldn't be banned, but like to bring it that much into the open and for him to be the only one that gets put on blast like that,
Yeah.
to me was a little much.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying.
I was once making out with a girl in 10th grade,
This took a turn.
and dad came home. It was really weird,
Okay.
right? And then what do? You're like, oh, hey,
You leaked the photos. What do you mean?
how's it going? You know, like what, and I felt really awkward at that moment, and there was only an audience of one
Yeah.
that was probably going to destroy me, but I was a nice guy. He was a hockey fan. This guy, can you imagine like getting a blood transfusion and then all of a sudden all the cameras are on you? Like, and then you're like, oh, I guess I'm stuck here for a little while. And it's the cops, so you're not going to run.
Well, yeah, I think that's when it sits in that you're doing something
Wow.
that actually is
Yeah.
against the rules. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, that's what sucks about doping, right? Like that's why, like it sucks in general. Like you shouldn't be doing it. We shouldn't have to be dealing with it. But we've known personally and been friends with peripherally and raced against people that ended up being dopers, people that were returning from doping suspensions, people that were suspected of being dopers. And I don't think I'm sure that they exist, but in my personal experience, I can't think of one of them that I'm like, yeah, that guy sucks. I don't like him. Like, they're all nice people. Like, the bike racing community in particular, I don't know about skiing, but the bike racing community is full of nice people. And I don't want to see, like, horrible things happen to any of them. How they get themselves into that situation, I don't know. I can't explain. But, you know, take your 2 years, give them 2 years, give them 4, give them ban them for life, whatever. But, like, yeah, publicly shaming people like in that way, that would make me uncomfortable if it was one of these people that we knew. You know, we used to race with Adam Bergman as a good example. Like, he was a big time pro in the US in the mid 2000s and got popped and came back, and he's the nicest guy. You know, he's a super funny guy. He's a friendly guy. And like, it's hard to be like, I hate you, you know, because of this thing that I believe in. Like, and I do believe in it, but also I'm like, you're also a nice guy. Like, there's these two sides to it, and it's very conflicting, and it's tough, you know, but you know.
Yeah, it is. I have nothing else to add. I think you hit it on the head. Like, it's just kind of, okay, I want to get off Disappointment Avenue.
Yeah, let's take another U-turn, and no, that sends us back up Disappointment Avenue. Just the even side.
Take a left on WTF Street.
Okay.
Because
this is a bad town. Where are we?
This is the worst. We're in El Paso.
Okay.
Tour du Rwanda.
Yeah.
Was this week, right?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Known for like the big cobbled climb that they've got.
Yes.
I just want to give shout out to Merhawi Kudus of now Astana that won. He's the Eritrean national champion.
Okay.
He's been on like Dimension Data, MTN Quebeca. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's kind of been around for a while, and like he started the tour, I think, before. I don't know if he's finished. But he's the national champion of Eritrea, which has a pretty kick-ass flag.
Super
It's
kick-ass.
nice.
Yeah.
Red, green, blue. Looks good. The red triangle coming from left to right.
Huh.
But he's on Astana, so the Astana national champion kit
Yeah.
is so ugly. So it's like the blue with then that flag underneath the words Astana. You can't even tell that he's the national champion. Like, what a failed...
Yeah.
Like, he could do so much with this flag.
I'm seeing this now. Yes, you are explaining this pretty accurately. Like, this flag in and of itself is incredible, but this flag on the backdrop of an Astana jersey leaves something to be desired, let's say.
Yeah. I didn't even know he had gone to Astana, so I'm a little, maybe disappointed in myself that I didn't know he had gone
Sure.
over. I've kind of been following him. I mean, he's done the Vuelta a couple times, done the Giro. Once got sixth place in the Giro youth classification, but man, like they really just ruined this jersey.
Yeah.
And
This was a good race. I mean, he deserves all the kudos. Like, Tour de Rwanda is, like, I saw some video clips of this climb that you were just referring to. It's awesome. It looks super cool. The crowds
go there sometime to see that. The crowds are
the
insane.
crowds are buck wild. There's so many people. It puts most races out there, aside from the biggest ones on the biggest stages, to shame. Like,
Yeah.
it was incredible. He beat Rain Terme in second place overall. That isn't obviously not a slouch. This is a real race, and it looked really good. So
Yeah. Anyways, looks like he was able to do complete the Tour de France in his only start in 2015 for MTN Quebec.
okay.
Anyways, so that's, I guess it's kind of just disappointing. It's a disappointing town that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add on before we get moving? Now, we are not going to be on the air next week.
No.
I will be out of town. So we're going to take a week off, but Strada Bianchi is happening.
Yes.
So start lists have not been published, but it looks like right now Zdeněk Starbar is definitely in the wheelhouse to be a favorite going into it.
Or perhaps he passes the torch to one Wout van Aert. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe he does. So, anyways, well, with that, we'd like to thank all of our listeners and the supporters of the Wide Angle Podium Network. Head over to wideanglepodium.com to find out more about the family of shows on the network.
Mm-hmm.
Also, encourage you to check out wideanglepodium.com/coffee for the hot link to get some Grimpeur Brothers beans delivered your way. 2 different blends to choose from: Cyclocross Friends espresso and the light roast full Schleck. And we'd like to thank our friends over at Health IQ for their continued returning support.
Mm-hmm.
Find out how to save money on your life insurance by being that healthy individual by going to healthiq.com WAP. And with that, this is Tim in Orlando, Florida.
And this is Spencer in Boston, Massachusetts, reminding you to always wave at all your fellow cyclists that you see out on the road.
The Slow Ride Podcast. Bikes, advice, and rumors straight from the source. TheSlowRidePodcast.com and on Twitter at TheSlowRidePod.